Hello and welcome back to the Wi-Fi is out. May the 4th be with you. Well, we're a little bit late.
Or maybe even a little return of the fourth with our brand new lighting system we have installed.
We have it red right now, so I'm feeling very evil.
Very Sith-like feeling in here, which is pretty cool. It definitely fits the mood of May the 4th.
If you couldn't tell by now, we're finally talking about Star Wars.
So we've discussed the MCU, we've discussed the DCU, and now we're going to be discussing WU, I guess technically the Star Wars universe. I feel like that's not their actual acronym, but that would be the closest.
I think it's just Star Wars.
Yeah, but it's their universe, so SWU, I like it. The SWU. We're talking about SWU, guys. We're getting SWU in here. Anyway, what do we got?
So, they've released an official timeline that we can expect where any future movies, TV shows gonna be taking place.
Okay.
So, we got Dawn of the Jedi, the Old Republic, the High Republic, Fall of the Jedi, which I think is the prequels trilogy, Reign of the Empire, Age of the Rebellion, which is the original trilogy, I'm pretty sure, the New Republic, Rise of the First Order, which is the newest trilogy, and New Jedi Order.
Okay, so you want to go a little into detail and kind of explain what this timeline is, kind of what it's representing, where it might go, in a way, I guess, piece by piece.
What I basically see this timeline as is the Skywalker timeline.
Okay.
Because
which is what we're pretty used to at this point.
They cannot do any storyline without the Skywalkers.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that. They refuse to extend their reaches past Skywalker, even though there's an infinite possibilities for storylines.
So, let's start at the beginning. Dawn of the Jedi is gonna be, basically, as it says, there's gonna be a movie about the first Jedi Council or something.
So the introducing like how the Jedi Order came to be, because as far as I'm kind of aware, it seems like between the Jedi and the Sith, one group tends to be in control of, how power flows, and then it switches back and forth, as they take control over each other, and this would be introducing the Jedi Order.
And then let's jump to the end of the timeline. The New Jedi Order is going to be episode 10 of the movies. So Rey is coming back. And she's going to be starting the Jedi again.
Okay. I mean, I kind of expected it. I've only watched up to like the 7th one. And I watched Rogue One as well, if that counts as the 8th one.
No.
Unless that's like something just kind of a side.
It was a side thing.
I mean, it was okay. I stopped watching them after 7, honestly, but it definitely seems like we went from this, as you said, the Jedi being in control for the start of this timeline, going through where the Sith take over, and then now going through where the Jedi are starting to make a reappearance.
Yeah. So the only reason why I'm keeping up with this stuff is I have a Disney Plus account for the MCU movies. And it just so happens the Star Wars TV shows aren't that bad.
And to be fair, we do talk a lot about like the universes and stuff that interests us. And while I may not be the biggest fan of Star Wars as much as I was like when I was a kid, back with the original, 6 movies, it's still very important to kind of understand where these universes are going, because there's the possibility that they do expand and become way more interesting. Within such, like the video games that have come out for Star Wars have been pretty good.
I'm thinking right now, I think Star Wars is really the only other universe out there that's as big as the MCU right now.
I mean, you could go through and you could vulture like through a lot of the other universes that are small that don't have like thousands of movies, you know. But this would be the closest thing to being the same size as like DCU or the Marvel universe.
Like, I'm not talking like Fast and Furious here, where
Oh,
they stay like in their timeline and nothing really out of it. It's kind of with just one group of family. They're starting to expand out into like the Mandalorian show that has basically nothing to do with Jedis. Well, at the beginning.
I mean, at the beginning, it's the whole point is it being, you know, the Mandalorians is their focus. So a separate group from, you know, the Skywalkers.
Which, at this episode, season 3 just finished for the Mandalorian.
Okay.
And I gotta say, this really wasn't that great this time.
Do you have any interesting takes on the season 3? Any theories?
No,
because I know you enjoy season 1 and 2.
Well, that's because it was basically just Din and Grogu.
Okay.
That was it. But they're in between, I think, the New Republic and Rise of the First Order. So now they're trapped because we know these two timelines. They have to explain why Count Dooku came back. They had a lot of cloning stuff in this season. Which, by the way, spoilers, I guess. So, we're kind of... This is why I hate going back in time with projects. Because all you do is set yourself up for loopholes in your next projects having to fix them.
So, I will say, something I'm hoping for is by the end of this 10th movie, they fully decide to step away from the Skywalker saga. It was a good saga. There was a lot of interesting characters, a lot of memorable moments that I've had, especially like the whole nostalgia of growing up with the Star Wars, you know, being a big thing. But I do think it's time for them to look at it and step away from that saga, specifically because there are infinite possibilities for other storylines they can do. I couldn't even give you an estimate of the amount of source material they have just from video games, books, comics, TV shows, everything that they can even make up characters and it would still be great. It is literally like about the lightsabers and the Force. It is fantastic.
I legit feel like there's only 4 planets in Star Wars and the galaxy far away.
You have like Tatooine, you have Mos Eisley. You have 2. You have 2 planets. You have Hoth.
But, so let's go back to this New Republic and Rise of the First Order timelines. We have a Ahsoka coming out.
Oh, Ahsoka, like a movie? Or a TV show?
TV show.
Okay.
The trailer came out for it recently.
I don't know. She's been a popular character ever since she got introduced, so giving her her own live-action TV show probably going to be a good thing.
We get to see live action of, I think her name is Hera, and the Mandalorian Sabrina. I think that's what they call her.
So we're getting some more characters more into live action, which could be, you know, incorporated into future movies.
Dude, I just love her two white lightsabers. It's finally nice to see a different color than blue, green, and red.
You had purple. You had yellow.
One guy had purple.
One guy had purple because he was insanely cool.
Because he demanded a purple. And and I think they had the right lore just because he demanded a purple lightsaber.
You guys can't see our face yet. That may change in the future. But I'm basically scoffing with like a raised eyebrow, like, yeah, he demanded a purple lightsaber, and yes, he deserved it because it was Samuel L. freaking Jackson. He gets whatever he wants, and that's okay.
The yellow lightsabers are for, I think they're called Jedi guards.
I think so, something like that.
There's lore.
There's a lot of lore with each color of lightsaber, and depending on how you are as an individual, you get a different one assigned to you that you get from the crystals.
But the movies would rather tell us about midi-chlorians instead.
Oh, I think everyone listening just rolled their eyes.
Good.
That was almost as bad as the master hand joke. So,
another project is a TV show called The Skeleton Crew.
interesting. Never heard of that. Doesn't ring. I couldn't even begin to imagine what that's about.
It has another Jedi who survived Order 66, apparently.
So that's like what, 15 now? Execute Order 66.
See,
Destroy all the Jedi. Oh,
this-
there's 15 that lived. Oh, now there's 16. Oh wait, 17. Oh shoot.
This is literally what I'm talking about. I feel like Order 66 is not that big of a threat anymore.
I mean, to be fair, when the order was issued, it was issued to the clone troopers who are not good shots.
Except for that one moment.
I mean, except for that one moment. Because they caught the Jedi off guard. And still couldn't eradicate them.
But at that moment, it was like, oh my word, all the Jedi are dead. Now, there's a video game about a Jedi survivor. There's Skeleton Crew. There was the Rebel TV show. There was Ahsoka. It's like...
Right. I'll admit, if they give me a good enough reason for every single Jedi that survived, as they did for Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'll accept it. And the only reason I accept Obi-Wan Kenobi surviving is because he's epic, he's badass, and he knew it was coming.
I feel like they always have a good reason why.
This person was off planet without clone troopers, and nobody knew they existed anymore. It's not an excuse.
And then we go into a movie that combines Mandalorian, Ahsoka, Book of Boba Fett, and Skeleton Crew. That should be fun. It's going to be a crossover with a bunch of characters that you get to watch through these TV shows.
I mean, yeah, maybe we'll even get some video games with more of this kind of lore in the background.
Dude, I would love a Mandalorian game. I am such a Mandalorian fan.
I mean, they had, what was it? It was Star Wars Republic Commando, where you played as like the group of 4 clone troopers. I don't know if you've ever... I played it for a little bit at one of my buddy's house. Great game, and if they did more games like that, I would play them. I'm not the biggest fan of playing as a Jedi, but playing as like a clone trooper, a bounty hunter, like a Mandalorian, that would be more interesting to me in the current times.
There was this one game where I think you lost your memory, but you get to choose like your different color lightsabers. You got to make a crew out of like a Wookiee, a robot, like a Sith. It was pretty fun.
I have never heard of this game in my life.
I played it like on the Xbox.
Shoot, man. Well, I guess you'll have to look that up and see if they're making a remake of that. Because the only Star Wars games I know of is like the new Jedi Survivor or whatever it is, and then like the Battlefront games.
What?
And then you had like pod racing, which is kind of fun.
Which Jedi Survivor's fun. Like, you got to choose your different colors in that.
Also, just saying, it's a complete disgrace that we had one movie with pod racing in it, and then never again did they mention that as a sport anywhere else in the galaxy with infinite possibilities. Pod racing should come back, and we should all stand for it to come back in a movie and get another epic pod racing scene. And another game that's basically Mario Kart, but in the Star Wars universe, and it's pod racing.
I think they made that.
If they did, it needs to be better because it was not well known. They had a pod racing game. We had a few pod racing games, but they are extremely old and outdated.
Well, the thing, you can't compete with Mario Kart. No, racing game can.
110%. If they made a Star Wars pod racing game, it would be a competitor. Like you can't tell me that if I could play Darth Vader pod racing on Tatooine, that I wouldn't do it. I would 100% do it.
I mean, it could be made, but it'll probably die out.
I mean, they'd have to make good enough maps. That would be their big thing that holds them back is, are the characters cool? Like, do they have characters that can be memorable, are memorable, like, you know, Darth Vader, Obi-Wan Kenobi and stuff? And then do they have characters that are, you know, maybe not well known, like Ayla Secura and Ahsoka and stuff like that? Well, Ahsoka's known, but you know what I mean. Then they have to make the actual pods look cool and be unique looking, and then make the maps actually enjoyable, and go through all of the planets in the Star Wars universe and give a different map for each planet. And add actual
the 4
effects.
planets that they go to?
The 4 planets. And then add actual stuff. For example, you go to Thoth or Hoth, I think it's Hoth. And you have an avalanche that if you mess up, it destroys your thing and you got to restart or something. I don't know. They could make it. Would it be great? Probably not. Would I still play the heck out of it? Absolutely. I would play that more than Mario Kart.
Yeah, I think more Star Wars games need to be made, honestly.
I would absolutely love, if they already have it, then I haven't heard of it, but I would absolutely love a Star Wars game that's in the design of like Halo Wars, but it's Star Wars based. You ever played Halo Wars?
Is that where you make a camp and like need resources and
stuff?
stuff?
Yeah, like you get resources and you're playing against other people online or bots. You know, if you don't want to play against other people online, you have to like build your units and move them out individually. And it would be that, except for you pick, like, do you want clone troopers? Do you want stormtroopers? Do you want, the Mandalorian team? Do you want a bounty hunter team? Do you want the droids? Mm-hmm. And you have to create your units and use resources to get better units to send them out. I would absolutely play the heck out of that.
I could see it.
I think it'd be great. Whether they're going to make it or if they already have and I just never heard of it, and it's probably outdated by now. I mean, maybe. What else do you have about this whole new timeline that you want to discuss?
Let's go back to the Dawn of the Jedi, which should have, I don't know if that's the name of the movie or just that period, but that kind of sounds fun. Like a group of people figuring out like the Force and the crystals, because they used to dig out the crystals and find them themselves, I think. So the crystal was unique to the person.
Yeah, the Kyber crystals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the name.
Yeah, I just think of Seto Kaiba, and I'm like, oh yeah, the Kyber.
Because nowadays they have to be man-made, because I think the Sith destroyed them.
The Sith either destroyed them or they like have them hidden somewhere, because Sith take Kyber crystals that are already used by Jedi and break their will and force them to work for them.
But yeah, that one sounds good. It'd be a fresh taste.
It'd be a fresh start for the Star Wars universe. I mean, it would still be going along the Skywalker timeline, but at least it would be earlier on. And it would be, fresh characters and reinvigorating. Because this, I would assume for this, like Yoda's probably pretty young. Obi-Wan probably isn't even alive.
I didn't even think of that. Yoda could...
Yeah, you get like a young Yoda, like not like young, but like a younger Yoda, a younger Count Dooku, a younger Lord Sidious.
Do we know how old he is?
I don't know his exact age, but I guarantee you it's many human lifespans. Same with like Lord Sidious has probably lived many. You'd probably even get like Lord Sidious's actual master that he betrayed.
Because I know Grogu is like 100 years old right now, and he's still acting like a baby.
He's essentially still an infant of that race.
So I didn't even think of that. Like, that would be pretty cool.
Yoda, I could easily see him, like, I don't know the exact number, but I could easily see him being like 1,000 years old or something, if not way more, if Grogu's 100.
Now to the new Jedi Order, which is back with Rey. Who, didn't she make a lightsaber bow staff?
I believe so. Isn't her lightsaber yellow?
Possibly.
I don't keep up enough on this. Double T's the expert on this Star Wars stuff
I
right
want to
now.
say expert.
Oh, he's an expert. He's a professional, has a master's degree, PhD.
No, I'm a Mandalorian fan, not a Star Wars fan.
Fair enough. But yeah, no. If she
I would
does, whatever
choose-
her staff she has, it seems like she's going to become the new overall Master Jedi. It would seem, or like head of the council.
Would you want her to be the same age as she was when we last left her, or be like 50 years old now teaching kids the
I think
Force?
she needs to be older, but I don't think she needs to be 50 years old. I think she needs to be older where she has more experiences, more mature, and can train people, but not so old that it seems like she wouldn't be able to defend herself. Because I feel like there's a fine line you can walk with certain characters being too old. Because even Yoda, like, it was surprising when he fought back, but he was also an alien race compared to, like, the humans that we're used to. And even seeing, like, Count Dooku fight was like, he's a little aged. He's definitely not keeping up to what he should be.
Do we remember how many years it was apart from the new trilogy from the original trilogy?
Nope, not at all, honestly.
No?
I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you the amount of years in between each movie.
There's a chance Grogu could finally be like 18.
If Grogu's not finally at least like teenage-ish, then I will be disappointed. Because I could 100% see him being one of the first few new Jedi that Rey has to teach outside of, like, obviously the Mandalorian, whole seasons getting him taught up and everything. You have anything else last minute things you want to talk about?
No, I think. Well, one thing about the Mandalorian, they lost the Darksaber, man. The coolest weapon in this galaxy, and it's now lost, apparently.
I mean, I'm sure it'll come back. It'll probably come back with the new head Sith that finds it.
Yeah, but they had the coolest weapon and they barely used it.
Obi-Wan will come back as a ghost wielding it,
Oh yeah, Obi-Wan Season 2 is supposed to be happening.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that officially happens or if it's just like, well, we're supposed to, but it might get delayed. Could be good though.
Yeah, there's like a whole writer's strike going on right now.
Yeah, that's for another episode though.
Yeah, but it could affect a lot of stuff going forward.
Which I'm sure we'll have an episode on that as events unfold because that's a really big topic with a lot of repercussions coming soon. But I think that about wraps it up for kind of how the state of the Star Wars universe right now and kind of what to be expected.
Yeah.
Well, see